Welcome back, everyone, to Shrimp of the House Recall. We're here in part 6, and this is page 3. I feel like I don't usually record at page 3. I don't know why I got thinking about this, but it feels like every time I do an early page, it's either page 1 or page 4. You know what? I'm going to clean up this kitchen stuff. Just put it in a group. I think, looking back, let's see, where is Alex? I think some of the changes I'm eyeing for when this is over. Where did I leave Alex? There's Alex. I might go in and I might go back and sort of expand the use of the text bubbles to kind of indicate more of a passing of time. When I end up working and transitioning from page page to page, scene to scene, it always feels like on this end that sort of the time skips aren't obvious. Or that, let's see. I think I'm going to delete the keys on all these. Okay, so that the notebooks are sitting on top and the pens are sitting on top of those. I mean, I did a read through a couple of days ago, and when I'm reading through it, like it didn't seem to be a problem when I was reading this story as in its entirety. What am I looking for? You. I'm gonna delete the key on that and let's put that back. Okay. And yet I still feel that I don't make it obvious enough how much time has passed from scene to scene. So here, I'm kind of feeling, I feel like coming off from the dinner prep scene into this, I feel like it's going to come across as this is happening almost simultaneously. That while this scene is going on, Liz is still in the kitchen preparing dinner, and David's still at the table rehearsing a speech. But it's really the idea that in my head is that this is likely a couple hours after. that Liz, the idea, it's sort of in my head. The dinner's in the oven cooking, and Liz and David have already gone off to do whatever. Because otherwise, story wise, it's problematic having the parents in the kitchen while everybody's going to be converging on Alex's room, which is right off the kitchen. And what I'm going with here is Alex just wants to sit in his room and skulk all weekend. For him, this is basically rock bottom. He's just absolutely lost and depressed and just doesn't know what he's going to do. So, just right, for this moment in time, he just he just wants to sit here and feel sorry for himself until he figures it out. Until he's kind of ready to get over it. And uh, so it's the idea is normally when he's sitting in the room, it's usually like either at the bed or the desk. So what I want to do here right now is he's going to sit with his weights, because so far, like, his weights have been like the one thing that have never, in his mind, have never failed him. He's always been able to count on the weights. He can't really do wrong with them. So while he's skulking, he's going to be among them, among what's familiar, even though he's not actually lifting. It's also like symbolically all he's got left right now are the weights, the iron. So he's going to be surrounding himself with that instead of over here at the desk around his school books, around like the computer, which is kind of symbolic of his education, etc., etc. That's the world that's let him down. Now we need Jackson. And one thing about Jackson Because for a while I kept forgetting to change his shirt. Let me do that now before I forget. So in my head, I just write it off as he just decided to wear the same shirt for X number of days. Or maybe it just came up depending on how many days passed between times we saw him. Jackson. No. And actually, speaking of changing shirts for you, I'm actually going to put Alex in a different shirt. Not really so much different as I'm just going to swap the colors out. He's going to wear black because black is a little more symbolic to his mood right now. Whereas with Jackson, he's trying to cheer him up. He's trying to be the positive one. He's trying to keep Alex looking at the bright side. So he's wearing a light shirt. So I put him in the light shirt. And since I'm thinking of clothing, what'll end up happening is by the time I have Aiden pop in this scene, I'll forget all about shirts. And he'll end up wearing whatever it is he's wearing now. So let's change his shirt. He's wearing red. Oh, that sucks. That would be the perfect color for this scene. Green for envy, yellow. No, what is it? Red for yellow for jealousy or red for jealousy? I don't know. Blue, brown for brown shirt. Yeah, brown. Brown shirts. Oh my god, you can't trust him. Okay, so I get his shirt changed. I'm not going to be seeing him right now, so let's focus on Jackson. And what do we want to do here? Since Alex is seated, I gotta kind of have him looking downward. Hmm. So this is going to be number 11. And let's render that. I think I'm going to take this one. Okay, and it's just going to be a pain in the butt for a minute. I don't get it. You think you failed because you looked at the answers yourself? He's going to sort of voice the obvious here. Alex is basing his sort of belief off just the fact that he went and looked up the answers afterwards. So Jackson is going to kind of try and throw out some of the other possibilities that could make him wrong. Like, I don't think you think you failed because I don't get it. You think you failed because here's the picture. And while I'm sitting here trying to type this, it's like in my head, this is already going a longer speech than I wanted. So I'm trying to think how to simplify this. Okay, yeah, I got it now. We'll just make it sound like we're coming into the middle of a conversation. Well, maybe you got extra credit. Maybe the teacher will weigh the question you got right more than the ones you got wrong. It's still a little longer than I wanted, but I think that gets the point across without. On the other hand, I'm now going to change out this word bubble. Let's see. Paste as new layer. Plus, and it's like he's already feeling it. So it's like on top of sort of the feeling that his life is over. He feels like his life is over. He's already he's already not looking forward to how his dad's going to take it after after the test he failed that opened this story. But he's gonna have but then he's gonna have Aiden jumping in here, You know why? You'll see it, which is why I've got him sort of dressed to come in. And that's going to be like, and Aiden's going to be the point where he just can't take it anymore. And I know you'll already see it if you've kind of checked out this part before watching the videos. You already see this, what I'm about to say, so I shouldn't be spoiling anything. But I'm not going to go I'm not going the route of suicide if that's kind of like what you're thinking from the video. It's it's I go dark like that in the muscle growth stories, and I think I've gone dark a couple of times in this series, but I generally try to avoid taking Shrimp of the House that dark. I think that might be a little far for this series. Whoops. She'll see it when I say he can't take it. He's going to he's basically going to run out, try it, just get away from it all. Just kind of go out the door and take off, and just try and get away from all the noise here. Oops. Here's where I should just use two separate cameras, but zoom out a little. I don't think he's centered on this bench. That looks a little better. Whoops, I don't need a box. I've already got one. Um, and that said, like, it's going back to when I mentioned I had read through the whole thing, what I've got so far. Um, another thing I need to go back and change is some of the timelines. It's nothing major, just a little tweaking in the dialogue here and there, but throughout this story, all these kids talk about different papers and tests and things that they have coming up. And I'm pretty sure at this point, like, the actual story doesn't line up with what they said as far as when tests were coming up and papers were due. So I'm going to have to go through and, when I finish and kind of go back through the editing phase, that's one thing I'm going to have to do is just kind of try and match the spoken timeline with reality. And, on a similar note, I did realize, it's, there we go. I had inadvertently given myself um, kind of a way to end his exam saga here with a little bit of a twist. It wasn't planned. It was one of those happy accidents. I'm not really sure what to say on it. I'm not really sure how much it's going to spoil the ending. Because I think generally my philosophy is that these stories always end up with a happy ending. It's like the old-fashioned sitcoms from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where like everything works out in the end. Which would imply that he somehow pulls off a passing grade on his history class. And I think I've mentioned in previous videos that I do plan to end his story in sort of a sideways manner. And I've talked about, I've talked about, I know throughout this like series of videos, I've been sort of brainstorming a future for the series where Alex doesn't go to college and gets a job, goes right into the workforce. But I guess that doesn't exactly, I guess if he does fail history or not, that doesn't exactly spoil it. Because either way, he's already hinted that even if he passes history, he might not go to college. So I guess if that's the direction I go with the series, that he doesn't go to college, he chooses not to go to college, or whatever, whatever, however you want to say it. He goes into the workforce. That's a decision that doesn't necessarily follow from whether or not he passes or fails. Well, maybe you're just wrong about those questions. Could have put the right answer. Well, you could have put the right answer and thought you gave the wrong one. Now he's just getting silly. Uh, so it's, I guess, what I mean by sideways. This is going to have a sideways ending for his story. Is that in one sense it's not happy, but in another sense it is? Um, well, I guess maybe that's not the right way of putting it. It's kind of like it doesn't go in the way that it should have, but he finds his solution. Control C. It's like at the end of the story, he's given lemons and makes lemonade out of it. Maybe that's what I want to say. Um, on a side note, I'm sitting here wondering if Aiden is going to make it into this page. So I've got another. I'm a panel away from having to decide that, but um, the idea for this part is, Jackson is in here trying to keep his spirits up, trying to keep him from giving up, and Aiden walks in and makes the whole situation worse. So Alex is going to run off. Alex is just going to get up and leave. And the idea is that Jackson is going to run out after him. And they're going to continue, and he's going to force Alex to continue the conversation without the disruptions from home. So the idea is, it's what I'm kind of trying to think in my head right in this moment, going through this page, is how much of it to get on the page here and how much to save for later. And that's going to depend on whether or not Aiden walks in on this panel here, which I'm leaning toward that, actually. Oh my God. It just seems like a good dramatic moment to have like Alex get kind of heated at Jackson, and then in walks Aiden in the middle of that. Uh, I know what I put on. Jackson. Do you have to be so dense? Now it's like he's so frustrated, he's getting insulting. And so on one hand, this is this is a little uncharacteristic of Jackson to care this much. But on the other, this is exactly Jackson to not know when to give Alex his space and let him kind of have his time to mope. It's like in trying to be helpful, he's kind of in a way making it worse for Alex. Oops. Actually, let's put the picture in first. Oops, it's not 34, it's 33. Layer to image size. Sorry there. For a moment, my mind is just kind of went into brainstorming mode, trying to settle on what Aiden's opening line should be when he walks in the door. Maybe you're just wrong about those questions. You could have put the right answer and thought you gave the wrong one. I know what I put on the page. Good, Jackson. Oops, this was me, God. God, Jackson, do you have to be so dense? Um, okay. Let's see. Okay, we'll grab them from here. Let's see. Actually, let's just delete the key. Okay, that's good. Now let's find Aiden. Let's open the door. I'm going to take the camera off and use perspective view just to make it easier to put the camera back. I think I've got to reset some of the fingers, but I don't remember which, so we're just going to delete them all. And delete that one. So I think with his opening line, I'm going to go something along the something along the lines of this theme that he's always left out. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I can move him around the door handle instead of trying to position the hand to fit where it is now. Now we'll just try and get an angle that gets both of them in the shot. We're going to really go to the edge of the page with this one. Okay, I can make this small. You don't have to be. And then he gets cut off. Okay, there we go. Do that. And the one thing I'll say about Jackson is as much of a troublemaker as he is, as big of a jerk as he can be sometimes, he sure can keep everybody's secrets. in Showtime, uh, in Showtime, he never did spill the beans that Allie had the size changer, and in the Xmas special, he he never he kind of kept her secret about accidentally shrinking their mother in that one as well. And I think, like, so far he hasn't told anybody that about Alex thinking he's failed his exam. So, sharing a room with Aiden, like, you would think he would have somehow said something to him, but no. You know what? Now that I've got the picture in, I'm gonna go with this one. Oops. I was gonna have Aiden's word bubble down on the bottom, but I think I can do it at the top. You're always hanging out without me. Let's see. uh, Now we'll select none. So, the motivational posters. Dedication. It doesn't happen overnight. I think, let's see, how can I'm going to table that thought I was just about to have anyway. So if you haven't checked it out, I do have a DeviantArt page set up, but it's kind of more of a hodgepodge. So I'm using it to sell the comics, as another avenue to Amazon with the comics that I sell there. Um, and if you're if you're comfortable signing up and trading with their silly point system. Oops. I don't know what's going on here. They are cheaper than on Amazon, and that's largely because I, as the creator, gets of a bigger percentage of the price than I do on Amazon. So it's basically the cost difference is pretty much what Amazon is taking from the price. But on top of that, but besides that, it's become kind of a hodgepodge of other stuff. So I've sort of dumped some of the experimental pictures, some of the test pictures I make, which usually aren't too many. Um, I've thrown up some. I think I've thrown up some of the posters that I've created for the walls in different stories, and I'm now thinking I've got a chunk of images that represent sort of TV scenes. When I want to actually want to have them watching something instead of trying to like not show the TV. You just sort of create a scene, like early on when I did the stupid giant ladybug movie. So I've been thinking I should grab all those together and throw them up. The idea is like if you're doing, if you're out there, whoops. The idea is if you're out there kind of doing your own artwork, you can grab them and have somebody watching TV too, watching the giant ladybug horror movie. um, I know I'm probably imagining this, but I have a feeling. Nope. Okay. And what I'm thinking now, this is bugging me. I'm going to go with that instead, I think. I'm going to mock this up just to see what it looks like. But I'm suddenly feeling like this would work better over here than at the bottom of the image. Paste this. I think I've also got, if you've been following along, I do some modeling myself, and I've thrown up a few of the OBJ files on a few of the models I've made. Yeah, that works better. I am going to keep this in the file just in case I change my mind later. I don't have to remake that. So I'm going to save and image flatten. Yeah, so like besides being another avenue for selling my comics, export. DeviantArt is sort of like a dumping ground for a lot of sort of the lesser stuff. It's also sort of like a giveaway for little things that might be useful to other people doing their own work. Or maybe you got extra credit. Maybe the teacher will weigh the questions you got right more than the ones you got wrong. It just isn't weighted, and there was no extra credit. Well, maybe you're just wrong about those questions. You could have put the right answer and thought you gave the wrong one. I know what I put on the page. God, Jackson, do you have to be so dense? You don't have to be. How come you're always hanging out without me? Not you, too. Can't I have any time to myself around here? So that's page 3. Um, Looks like it'll be page 4 where the next page where Aiden's going to get under his skin. But, by the time this video goes live, that part will already be on Patreon and you'll probably have already read it. So I don't think I'm spoiling anything here. I don't think I'm going to be making that page doing that page as a video, but I will be back on a future page, and whenever that is, I will see you then.